What is good, all of our listeners, hey, and viewers? Welcome back to another episode of Games and Groceries. My name is Adam.
And I'm Liz.
And I got a canker sore on my lip. Woo! We are here with episode 111, where we're going to talk about can you separate the artist from the art? But first, we've got some segments for you. Yes, we do. I'm in pain. A lot of pain, but that's okay. Yeah, yesterday, so I know I put it upon myself because I pretty much eat hot sauce every single meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah, it's true, you do.
I put hot sauce on my eggs. I put hot sauce on my quinoa and chickpeas. I put my hot sauce on whatever we have for dinner.
Usually.
So I know I put it on myself.
You ask for canker sores.
I probably have a stomach ulcer at this point. I understand. And when I say hot sauce, I mean like I have a bottle of The Last Dab in my refrigerator right now. So when it's just like, oh, sriracha, I have that too. I also have
varying degrees of.
I have 4 bottles of hot sauce in my fridge.
Yeah, I don't use any of it.
Yeah,
I try every time he gets a new one.
Yeah,
but I don't put it on my food. I don't like to just survive my food.
But yeah. So as soon as yesterday came around, I started to develop a canker sore, like right above like my upper lip, and I thought, great, cool. The day before, and you know that when it starts developing, and then you go in the next day, it's like, great, cool, you're here, you're fully here. I'm so glad to have you.
Like a pimple.
A kind of, yeah, pimple in your mouth. Ugh.
I mean, that's what I think of how I can think of a canker sore.
But yeah, so we might as well get the show rolling. But how are you doing, though?
I had a long week.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all there is. I just had a long week. I am thankful it is finally Friday, and I have ice cream.
Right on. Yeah. So let's get this show rolling and moving. But if you want more of our intro talks, if you liked what you heard there, like, I want more. First of all, why?
Who listens to what we just said and said they want more?
Second of all, we have a second podcast where we just talk about anything. It's more chill. It's called What's the Biz? It's linked down below if you want to check it out. But other than that, it is there or whatever. I don't really care. But we are on social media. We're on Twitter at Gaming Groceries, but you can follow us individually. I'm at Ace the Grocer.
And I'm at Journey First.
We're also on Instagram, Games and Groceries, all one word. We can check out some behind-the-scenes photos, some cool little stories, some memes I'll share, updates about the channel, as well as questions I'll ask on the for the podcast. I'll have a topic at hand, and then I ask you, what's your feedback on it? So get you in on the conversation on Twitter, Facebook. Oh yeah, we have a Facebook. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram. So, put in your reports there. And check out our website, gamesandgroceries.com, where you can listen to all the podcasts from the website. Find out where you can listen to the audio versions of the website. But check out gamesandgroceries.com for all that and so much more.
So much more.
And if you haven't yet, if you're watching us on YouTube, hi, how you doing? You doing good? I'm glad. Do you have a canker sore in your mouth? I hope not. Maybe you should not eat hot sauce every single meal of the day, but that's fine if you want to. But definitely subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so that you know when all these podcasts come out, as well as our weekly videos, weekly discussions. We got a vision for the discussion videos moving forward, but I'm excited for what we're going to do with it. Like I said in the last one about the Ubisoft Scandal, link right here, it just became really difficult to be funny in this time. It felt very forced, and I didn't feel like myself.
Yeah.
And it's just like, in these times, I'm just like, I'm too sad right now to be funny, so I like to have discussions anyway. So yeah, that's what we're doing, but we have a vision going forward with it. But yeah, definitely subscribe to the channel for that. And if you're listening to us on the audio version, there's a link down below. Also on YouTube for Podchaser. Definitely give us a review over at Podchaser or on your, audio platform of choice. Definitely give us a review. And with all that said and done, but let's just jump into our first segment. What do you think?
Okay.
Let's just jump into it with our first segment.
Movie Minutes.
Movie Minutes is a segment that we talk about the movies that we watched in the past week, whether it be on Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime. Ooh, not really in theaters at this point in time. And we'd like to give you a recommendation or not a recommendation with our 5-point system from avoid at all cost, pass, enjoyable, solid, and perfect for us. And this week's movie on our Movie Minutes, as I bring up the timer, is found on Hulu, and it's actually called The Assistant. Woo-hoo. It was actually a film that was released in 2019. And I think what's most important about this film is that you need to know what you're getting into before you go into it. Mm-hmm. So with that said, Liz, opening thoughts.
I really don't know what to think about this movie.
Oh no, bye-bye.
Thank God that wasn't open. But yeah, I wasn't sure what to think about this movie. I just kept waiting for something more to happen.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny when we were watching it. You asked if I felt like her.
Yeah.
Felt how she felt because she's an assistant.
Were you feeling seen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not really, because my job's not like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little like that, but on a much, much lower scale.
So in this, I'm not going to try to convince you to get on my level of what I thought about this movie.
Yeah.
But I'm going to convince you what you think. So let me discuss my points real quick, because I didn't even give you my notes yet.
No, you did not.
So this film has chosen to have you feel for the character through perspective, almost like a POV, but not exactly because it's not as cringy as POVs are on TikTok. Yikes. But your point of view of an assistant in the film industry. And what I liked about this is that it never said what movie industry, how big this movie industry is, just it was in New York. Even the high producer, like
who she works for, was always never seen.
He's never seen, and it's always him. Oh, where is he? Oh, is it him? Like, it's always
like they all knew exactly who they were talking about.
And then when they were talking about his wife, it's always she's on the phone. She like it never really dials down to a specific. It's just focused on the assistant in this film industry setting, right?
Yeah.
So I liked how it was more of the perspective of an assistant in a film industry. Right. Do you agree with that? Like, it was more about perspective? Because it was very dry.
It was very dry.
Yeah.
I don't really know what you mean by perspective. I mean, I guess.
Yeah, because it's living out the day-to-day work. Like, this whole movie is set,
one day.
Is one day. A day in the life of an assistant who just started in the film industry.
Yeah.
And it's just the film industry. It's in an office setting. She's the assistant to the big person, right?
Yeah.
She's only been working there for 2 months, and this movie, it seems boring because you're just trying to get the perspective in, you know. And I think that's pretty important, right? Now let me get your thoughts on this. Now, because this is Movie Minutes, I'm going to move a little quickly. It may seem boring at first, right? And I think you should go into it knowing that it's not a very cinematic movie in that way, but it is more about this is the life of an assistant. But this perspective all leads up to probably one of the most powerful and realistic scenes that the Me Too movement is fighting.
Yeah.
Like that office scene within the HR.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say any more because I want you guys to see it too. But it has to be one of the most realistic things. Like the HR wasn't like this demon person. Like it just flowed in the way of how that would have gone down.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think about that?
No, I definitely agree that was probably very realistic.
Yeah.
Because you always do, like, it's in regular movies, you usually see that person as like just the most hateful or hateable person you can think of, when really the guy was normal.
Yeah.
It's just he knows how the industry works, and he knew that it was better that she just ignore it.
Yeah, he was just saying like I'm not.
And he was playing dumb too.
Yeah, he was playing dumb. Yeah,
he was like, well, like, you know, like he knew what she was trying to say, but he was ignoring it because he knew that he can't report that.
Exactly, and it wasn't just like he was, you know, very spineless. He was just kind of saying, do you really want to throw away your career because of this?
Yeah.
And it was one of the most realistic settings.
Mm-hmm.
And it all led up to that. This was after an hour of this movie. Like I looked at it at the time and we were an hour into the film and it was leading up to this is the day in the life. And then we get to this point and that's why it had to be about perspective.
Yeah.
It's because it wasn't cinematic. It wasn't demonizing this person. It was just a real perspective.
Yeah. All the way down to the stupid laugh.
What?
That laugh that he.
Oh,
he
yeah.
And anyone who knows me knows I hate when people do that laugh.
Jeez. My final note is that I think this brings a good amount of light to a deep undergoing in the film industry that's not fun in games. That a lot of people go into this industry thinking that they're going to make it and understand that this is my passion, blah, blah, blah. But it's not fun in games. It's all this was just a day. And this had to be like the longest day ever. And so many things happened. And it was just perspective. It wasn't cinematic.
Yeah.
And I think it brought a good amount of light to saying like, this is just an example of what can go down.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it kind of says like, it's not discouraging you. It's almost preparing you, warning you almost.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Sorry.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just don't know what to think about this movie.
Yeah.
I really don't. It's like I like the like you said, it's like prep, like kind of like a prep almost, and it's more of just like, hey, this is it. But like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know my opinions on this movie. Stop asking me questions.
So let me give you my rating for this, and then you can give your final rating. I'm going to explain it why. I gave it a solid. So again, in our 5-point system, it's at a number 4, which is solid, right? It's not perfect, and it's above enjoyable, but I think this is solid because of the direction where this was going in terms of giving you perspective into the life of the assistant, right? And the most well-directed scene in the HR scene, like that was fantastic. And it all led into the final phone call. And it's just, it didn't end in a way where she triumphed. It's just the day ends and you know she has to go back to it the next day.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like a triumph. It wasn't, a failure. It was just
overcome anything.
Yeah, she doesn't overcome anything, but she doesn't lose either.
Yeah,
it's
she didn't get fired.
She's just okay.
Yeah.
Like this all takes place on Monday. So she has to go into it on Tuesday. It didn't even lead into the next day. It just ended.
Yep. It ended when she went home.
Yeah, exactly. It was just day 1. This is what can happen.
Yeah.
Just one example. And that's why I gave it a solid, because it was just so well directed. It's not perfect, I don't think. I think it does. The pacing is a little bit dry, but that's why I'm giving this a solid. What do you give it?
I struggled so much.
Yeah.
We literally just watched it, so I've had no time to like process it. Because sometimes when I'm in the situation, I'm like, give me a day, ask me tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I struggle between a pass and an enjoyable.
Okay.
Because it is a very dry movie. It's interesting and I enjoy it.
It's not your type of movie.
It's not. And that's the thing.
It's not Ella Enchanted.
I haven't watched Ella Enchanted since I was at least in college.
You're right. It's not Frozen 2. But go on.
I haven't watched that either.
Go on.
But I'm just saying, like, it's a struggle because it was dry. And at the end, I was like, what? Like, like, yes, it was interesting, but the interesting part kind of didn't happen yet. Like, it was like, to me, this was like the intro to a movie.
Well, that's the thing. You're used to movies that have a triumph, have an end, have a clear end. But this one was just, like I said, it was about perspective.
Yeah, and I enjoyed it, and I think it is relatable. But that's where I struggled. I enjoyed it, but it was just different, so I gave it an enjoyable.
So your final rating is enjoyable.
Enjoyable.
Yeah, but like it's a generous enjoyable.
Yes,
you would say.
Yes, because like I said, it's not a pass. Like if you, like, I'm not gonna say don't watch this.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, I'm not going to say you need to watch it now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I would say you lean more towards pass.
Yeah. I don't know.
But But yeah, that's our ratings. Now, so if you relate to if you listen to the podcast, you know where our movie opinions stand. If you're like me, you're more analytical, you like these type of movies, definitely I thought it was solid. But if you're more Lizzie and you just like a good story with a good clear end and a victory,
you like
at the
an
end.
Actual story.
It was an actual story.
It was, and that's where I struggle. I struggle with this one so much because it had a.
So if you are in an internal struggle for the rest of your life, I'd say pass. But I would say definitely watch this movie just for the HR scene. Like, it was just so realistic.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. Well, I didn't love it, but I loved it.
It's horrible, but
I loved
it wasn't
it.
horrible.
But yeah, so again, that's The Assistant. It's on Hulu. Definitely check it out if you want to see it. If you're more like Liz, pass, it's just, but if you're more wanting a different movie, and it's only an hour and 27 minutes, definitely check it out. But that's our review of it. But let's just move on to video game shenanigans.
Okay.
So let's just move on to our second segment.
Top 3 Gaming News.
The top 3 gaming news is the gaming news that we saw in the past week, and we like to rank it 3, 2, 1, just to give you a condensed version of what's going on in the gaming industry. What's going on? Hey, whoa, okay, oh, whew. Okay, I thought something was going to happen. Is anything happening right now?
You're weird. That's happening.
Oh God, business twins! Look out! Top 3 gaming news. We're here, everybody.
You exhaust me.
Business twins.
That was loud.
But yeah, we're here with top 3 gaming news, and we want to give you what happened in the gaming industry with the number 3 gaming news. It's about Rocket League, everybody. Who likes Rocket League? Do you like Rocket League?
Rocket League was featured on Fuller House.
Yeah. Oh, hey, we never watched that Sim Sparks thing. It's supposed to be preparing.
Well, it already premiered? It's just like where it's available and when. I have to figure it out. I don't understand.
That was
last week.
Yeah. But this week, the number 3 gaming news is about Rocket League.
Yeah.
Rocket League is free to play later this summer.
Woohoo.
So this is coming from an update from Psyonix, who made Rocket League. And they say that it's going to be free to play, but not only that, it's going to give you a lot of different updates, including, well, let me read this quote right here. So all the articles that we're going to mention, it's going to be linked down below for you to check it out for yourself. But this is coming from the announcement. At some point later this summer, however, Rocket League will go entirely free to play, a shift that will be accompanied by a major new update introducing, among other things, changes to tournaments and challenge systems. Additionally, it will gain cross-platform progression for item inventories, Rocket Pass progress, and competitive ranks. Although these features will require players to create and link an Epic's game account. Ooh, spooky! Epic Games account. We don't like that. But yeah, it is going to be free to play. It's the first time it's going to be free to play since its launch in 2015.
Wow.
Yeah, it was always a premium service. You had to buy it. I bought it for $20.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'll get anything because I purchased it. I don't think it said anything about that. Maybe it does. But yeah, it's going to be free to play later this summer. Psyonix said more details to come later this week. And it's going to be cross-platform, like it said. And all of your progress, like your Rocket Pass progress, your ranking, that will also transfer into cross-platform.
Nice.
So yeah, if you were playing like on Xbox, I don't know, and then you want to go on Nintendo Switch, your progress will transfer.
Cool.
So yeah, I think it's pretty cool, especially since I enjoy me some Rocket League. It's nice. I like it. It's one of those games for me personally that I'll play a couple matches or two.
Yeah.
I think it's fun, and I'm glad it's free to play.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that?
Good for them. That's great.
Yeah.
Good idea. I like that it's cross-platform. That's nice because companies don't like doing that, and that really bothers me.
Yeah.
Like, you're really like separating the community when you do that.
Not making it cross-platform.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's just I don't like it. I like it when I can play with my boys, on other different systems. But
Yeah.
it is what it is. But yeah, it's cool because now we can play it on Switch, and I didn't want to repurchase it on Switch, but now
No, you don't have to.
Yeah.
Woo!
So Rocket League free to play. That's cool and all. But you know what's even cooler?
What?
Halo Infinite!
Yay!
Halo Infinite. There's new details. It was just revealed this Thursday. Oh, you didn't see it.
No, I didn't. I was working.
Okay, so real quick, before I get into these new details about Halo Infinite, I am myself on the mixed side about how the graphics look. Because I am mixed. No, that's not the graphics. That's like just the box art.
Okay.
But the graphics seem a little bit cartoony. And that's the thing. It's more of the art style than the graphics. Review Tech USA did point out that there is some pop in every now and again. Some textures need to like pop in every now and again. And it was revealed that it was actually running on a PC with Xbox Series X specs. I was just like, it's a new art style. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but it is an art style. It's not really graphics. I don't know. I just I feel about this the way you feel about the assistant. Like I'm just like
Internal struggle.
Really, yeah. But talking about new details coming in. By the way, GameSpot, it's an article linked down below. They have all this plethora of new details, including the grappling hook that's going to be included here. Yeah, because it's open world, it's actually confirmed now that Halo Infinite is indeed open world. It's set to be like a new perspective. You got a grappling hook to go and just zoom around the open world, which is, again, I'm like,
Because there's just always a consistent rope just going everywhere.
Well, it has a cooldown. So you just zoop it and you can't be Spider-Man in here now. So
I'm so confused.
So like you ain't go zoop and then you land, it has to cool down before you go another zoop.
Oh, I understand.
So you can't be Spider-Man.
So you are swinging.
Well, kind of.
I understand.
Yeah. And it's like, okay. But with all these details coming in, there's a much more important one, is that they actually say that this is going to be the last Halo game that we're going to see for a decade.
That's a weird statement to make.
So let me read this quote right here. This is coming from studio head Chris Lee, saying, as we reported, studio head Chris Lee explained this idea in an interview with IGN. Halo Infinite is the start of our platform for the future, he said. The start of our platform for the future. We want Infinite to grow over time versus going to those numbered titles and having all that segmentation that we had before. By the way, we had before. Sorry, 343. But it's really about creating Halo Infinite as the start of the next 10 years for Halo, and then building that as we go with our fans and community. So this is going to be the last one for 10 years, and it's not going to be entirely the last one, but it's going to be almost like Rainbow Six Siege, where they just constantly update it, or even Destiny. And I'm just like, I don't want to. If what they're saying is that it's a games as a service, here's the thing: just make a new IP. Just let Halo die. I'm sorry. And he says that this is for new fans, and I'm like, then
it should be a new IP. If it's for new fans, you shouldn't have the Halo name on it, because you're gonna instantly get the old fans wanting to play it and being disappointed.
Exactly, and that's the thing. I love Halo. I love Halo so much. It's my first love. And that's the thing, is that I want to go to this as Halo. And if Halo died after Halo 5, I'd be fine. I would be, because it's just like, I'm okay with series dying.
Yeah.
I don't want it to. I don't want this. But that's the thing. I'm still going to play Halo Infinite. I don't know what he means by that. He never really said that it's a games for service. He never said that.
It's going to be something you have to play and decide if, what it is once you get it.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that I don't know how to feel about it. And that's the thing. It hasn't released, so who am I to have an opinion on it? So that's the thing. It's going to be the last one for the next 10 years. He's going to use it as a platform for the next 10 years. So it's a we'll see. From what I saw in the gameplay footage, it seems exciting. The music's back. It's a throwback to Combat Evolved. I'm digging it, but I'm also mixed. So, but he said that he wants to bring in new fans with this, which I can get behind. I get it, but make a new IP. I don't know. But that's Halo Infinite. There's no details. Definitely link down below. Just all these different details, including how some of the aliens were voiced by pugs.
Huh?
Yeah, pugs voice some of the Covenant. It's really cool.
That's adorable.
But yeah,
no, I don't like pugs.
Link down below. But let's move on to our number one gaming news. Is that Ubisoft not only said that next gen games, they're gonna be $60, not $70. I'm like, nobody's focusing on that, Ubisoft. It's there's something else on the horizon. Jason Schreier has written an article pretty much once again doing what Jason Schreier does and exposing the gaming industry with the inner circle within Ubisoft with sexual harassment and just downright mishandling their management. Some of them weren't even managers. Some of them just kind of got grandfathered in. And some of them are like family members to Yves Guillemot, who is the CEO of Ubisoft.
Yeah.
So in this article, which I will link down below, by the way, Ubisoft has been mishandling and also encouraging just like misogyny and some of the people are, it goes as, I want to say goes as light as, it's not really light, but as unwanted massages to having personal business meetings in strip clubs.
Lovely.
Yeah. And choking some people at parties. So, yeah. So Jason Schreier writes this article and Ubisoft has been on the, really down spiral in terms of backlash.
Yeah.
And Yves Guillemot has come out and said that, now I want to read this quote from the article real quick, but even Yves Guillemot, he said, I didn't know anything was happening. It was right under my nose. How did I know? You're the CEO.
You should know everything.
No. And some of them they're your relatives.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. He's like,
Don't really believe that one.
No. Absolutely. And they said that Jason said this has been going on for decades.
Yeah.
And Yves is like, I didn't know it was going this way. I mean, I had some sense. No. So this is a quote from the article. This is just a little tidbit. Three women who worked at Ubisoft say that they've been warned not to go out drinking with Hesco, who is part of the inner circle within Ubisoft, and his crew. He sometimes held business meetings at strip clubs, a habit that his deputies began to adopt. His deputies, and I talked about that in okay, read the article, Adam. Thank you. Say the employees who asked not to be identified because they are either still employed by Ubisoft or worried about retribution. The women elected not to attend these outings and said their careers suffered as a result. They were frustrated and watched Hesco promote many of his strip club buddies to creative directors. There was another creative director that was... Okay, keep reading the article, Adam. I'm sorry. A group composed almost entirely of men. So there was a creative director from Ubisoft who just stepped down because he was having some personal issues with his family. I'm not going to say his name because we all know who it is. But that's the thing. It makes a lot of sense. The article also says that these people didn't want female protagonists because they say women didn't sell.
Yeah.
Like in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, it was supposed to be only Cassandra. And this is the inner circle that said, no, women don't sell. You need to make it another male protagonist.
Yeah.
And then Horizon Zero Dawn happened.
So what happened to women don't sell?
Yeah. Ugh. But yeah, jobs will be held back from women. The entire game industry needs to be under investigation. Oops, excuse me. Pardon me. But this is what I said in my last video about the inner circle. And will the game industry ever change? I was talking about the inner circle almost like a conspiracy theory, but it was proven. Like it was right there. And that's the thing, is that a lot of these women were kind of scared to come up because there goes your career.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's a lot like The Assistants in that kind of perspective, you know? But anyways, what do you think about this?
It's just sad when you see that there are still people like this in the world.
Yeah.
That it's like in this day and age, you don't expect that big companies, especially in like this type of community.
Yeah.
Like in the gaming community, we kind of like to believe that like we're good people and the world just likes to hate us.
Yeah.
But this is just showing it kind of shows that we're like everywhere else in the world. Big company has some jerk men at the top.
Exactly. By the way, the article is linked in the description down below. I'm only going over the tip of the iceberg. It's a very long article, but it's well worth your read. And I don't want to say too much of it because I want to encourage you to read it. But that's the thing, is that, man, and that's the thing. Ubisoft is still trying to pick themselves up. Like, oh no, we're fine. Hey, our games won't be $70. Isn't that something? It's like,
It's just sad to know that like women working for this company basically don't have a chance.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is that, I mean, their chance is to go to a strip club, and that's the thing.
Any moral woman does not have a chance.
Yeah. Like that said, 3 women were said, hey, don't go out partying with them. But the men did. And again, this is what I said in my video, is that who are they going to fill in the inner circle? People that they groomed for this.
Yeah.
A lot of their strip club buddies.
And clearly, my opinion is if they're holding meetings at a strip club, they don't want the women to come with them. And if the women did, they're not going to be promoted for going.
Exactly.
They're going to be seen like every other woman in that club.
It's absolutely insanity. I feel heartbroken for the people who work with Ubisoft, and a lot of it was the guy who choked, and I can't think of the name. It was like Danny or something. A lot of them just accepted it. It's like, oh, that's just him being him, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like,
that's the adult equivalent of boys will be boys.
Yeah. So I kind of want to just jump into our big topic with this because it does relate to this article. So I think let's just get it right into it. You know, you've read the title of this podcast, so it is about the Ubisoft scandal. But let's just move forward with our final segment.
Coffee time.
Every single week here on the Games Groceries podcast, we like to talk about a game industry topic, whether it be about female gamers or game preservation or everything in between. We just want to talk about it for the next half hour or so, sometimes for more than an hour. By the way, look forward to it. We're planning something for the future for a certain game. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to spoil it anymore, but we're planning something special in the very near future. So it's going to be more discussion-based than anything, and it's going to be a 3-episode arc. That's all I'll say. Get hype. But with this one is separating the art from the artists more from video games, right? And I think this article from Ubisoft kind of sparked that discussion.
Yeah.
And let's just get right into it. First and foremost, I think to define the subject, right, in terms of separating the art from the arts, what does that even mean? Have you ever heard that phrase?
I have, and I never really thought about what it means. The first thing that comes to my head, thinking about it in terms of like this, is not thinking of who the artist is as a person,
right,
and just admiring their work. But when we're thinking of like actual like art, like paintings and design and things like that, it's hard because usually paintings and things that you would see in a museum are reflections of the artist. And it's them
they put themselves in it,
their soul and their heart into this picture.
Yeah. No, the way I see it is just trying to appreciate the work and not thinking about the mistakes. And and Wombat did some good tweets. He said, like, why are we separating the art from the artist? If you just like a piece of art, you have to accept, the bad person, right? And I'm just like, I think there's an in between, right? Like, in terms of, let's go for the extreme here, right? Hitler was a poet. He wasn't a very good one, but let's say he was, or he was even a painter at one point, right?
Yeah.
If you got one of Hitler's poems and it was actually a good one, right? Could you really separate the art from the artist? And that's taught in art schools all the time.
I feel like in situations like those where you find out that an artist, whether it's a musician or like, I can't remember the correct word for it, but like just a painter.
Yeah.
I feel like it depends on which one you found first. Did you know that person first and their reputation, or did you know their art first?
Yeah, true.
Because I just thought of, like, in terms of music, you always hear how horrible certain people are in Hollywood. Your favorite actor is known as a jerk.
I'm sorry. I haven't heard anything about Tom Cruise. I think he's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean.
Yeah.
You admire his art. You love almost all of his movies.
Yeah. Almost. Vanilla Sky can go die.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
But that means you don't care that he's a jerk to everyone.
Right.
Just like the teenage girls, when Justin Bieber was still new, didn't care that he was also a jerk.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. Yeah. Everyone in the music industry, it seems like it's okay to not care about their character. Like when I was younger, I loved Ashley Simpson. The camera's about to turn off because I didn't clear the memory card because I'm a genius. So I'm going to do that, and you can say your stuff and make sure to come back to me.
Okay. But yeah, in terms of that, it is a little bit harder to separate the art from the artist just because, especially with actors, right? Because they are putting on a different kind of role. They are kind of putting on a different person, right? The whole idea of it is so that you separate them as actors and more into the character. And it becomes a fuzzy different thing in terms of acting. Now, we're going to get into video games in a little bit, I promise you. But when we talk about separating the art from the artist, the actual definition of it is, I don't want to say it's an excuse, right? That saying that, I can like this bad person's art, but it can be sometimes. It really can be. And I think it becomes difficult when we really come into video games, really. And as Liz is fixing...
I turned it off.
She turned off the camera.
I'm doing great today.
You're doing a fantastic, honey bear. Here we are, camera 2. How you doing? But yeah, in terms of... Now I'm going to go into video games, Liz, because we've already defined it. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you, Director Liz. But I think it becomes a little bit more difficult when talking about video games, especially AAA games, right? Separating the art from the artist because there's so many artists involved. Or even talk about movies even. There's so many people involved that becomes very hazy. Now they would define separating the art from the artist in terms of just ignoring their bad takes or their bad views and just focusing on their work, which is very hard to do, even with just paintings and poems. Now let's get into the perspective of video games. Why is it a lot more difficult to go into video games when talking about separating the art from the artist?
I feel like it's harder when it comes to that because it's the whole company that's involved. And when you're watching a movie, you don't think about, the CEO of this production company is so-and-so and he's a horrible person. But when you're playing a video game, you're usually playing it because you're a fan of that
franchise.
Studio.
Yeah. Or even the studio. Yeah.
And that's a thing. You're playing because you're a fan of that studio, like what that studio produces. So I think that's why, is that when you're watching movies, you're thinking of the director and the actors mainly.
Yeah. Truly. Yeah.
But when you're playing a video game, you're thinking of the studio. Sometimes the actors that are in, if they have big names in it. But typically you're thinking of who that studio is and what it stands for and the other games they produce. So when you know that Ubisoft has this horrible people running it, it starts to taint your opinion and like vision of this company and who you're paying.
Well, it even started not even earlier this year, right? Man, where'd this year go? Oh my God. But I was going to even say
5 weeks till my birthday.
Yeah. But I was even going to say it started with another article written by Jason Schreier about BioWare and their mismanagement, how these people would just go into closets and cry during work hours, you know? And it just put a light on BioWare where it's just like, I love BioWare. I love KOTOR. I love Dragon Age. Not Dragon Age 2, but I love Dragon Age. It's so nice.
Yeah.
I love Mass Effect.
Yeah.
And then when Mass Effect Andromeda came out, we're like, what the heck? And then Anthem came out, like, what
happened?
It had everything to do with mismanagement.
Yeah.
And that was a broader topic. And now we're even deeper and darker in a worst year possible for this to come out. You know, I wish this is going on for decades. I wish it came out earlier.
Yeah.
Than in 2020.
Or later.
Exactly. No.
Well, no, because that means going on longer.
Let's go with earlier.
Listen, I turned the camera off. Okay, I'm clearly not all with it tonight.
But yeah, so it's already a dark year, and this got even darker, and now it really it's weird to think about Ubisoft in any kind of way. Whereas before we thought the worst of Ubisoft being it's repetitive. And we found out later, we reported on this, that it turns out that all of the Ubisoft games were pretty much run by one guy.
Yeah.
And that's why it all felt the same with Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Ghost Recon, Watch Dogs. All these games kind of felt the same because they were the same.
Yeah.
And we thought that's pretty much where the line drew, that they were just repetitive and just running out of ideas. But then it just got even darker.
Way darker.
And they're going to strip clubs and they're pretty much training people to be the worst people alive.
Yep.
And it's just completely messed up to think about. And now we're in this position of how we have to separate the art from the artist. Because me personally, I've been an Assassin's Creed fan since day one.
Yeah.
And that has to be...
You can't, and in your brain, you can't not get that game.
Exactly. For Valhalla, it's just kind of like...
You've been dreaming of this game.
Yeah.
Before it was even an idea probably in their heads.
I went on a Viking Assassin's Creed probably since college at least.
Probably since the day you learned what a Viking is.
Probably since Skyrim came out, to be honest with you. I'm like, can there be a Viking setting Assassin's Creed? That was since 2011. And now not only is Ubisoft the company kind of going on the fire, but then the creative director was behind all of this. And I'm not sure if I should say his name.
Yeah. He's
like Voldemort, except real. But that's the thing. But yeah, that's just is that the creative director behind the game that I'm much looking forward to. It does really affect me personally. It does affect my brain a little bit. It doesn't affect me personally at all. Want to clarify that.
It's that struggle of you want to enjoy this game, but as you're enjoying it, you're knowing that you're giving money to these people and that you're showing that it doesn't matter what they do.
Yeah.
Like I always think for me, like every time, like I read an article at one point years ago that Katherine Heigl is like horrible to work with.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I think you told me that. Yeah.
Yeah. So every time I watch her movies, I just think, I wonder what set was like. Like every time I can only enjoy her movies a little bit. I enjoy her movies a little bit less knowing that information.
Yeah. And that's the thing is that I want to go into Valhalla. You know, I really want to go to Valhalla, but I really hope to God. But well,
I don't think God's gonna grant you into Valhalla. It's not. They don't meet.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, theology, people. But I really wanted to get into Valhalla into the with a fresh mindset. But I feel like I would feel weird
Yeah.
like playing it because there's just so much actual controversy going on.
Yeah.
Whereas controversy in terms of Last of Us Part 2, and that was a different kind of controversy where
That's fan controversy.
yeah, it was fan controversy saying like you disrespected the first one. Abby it was a terrible character, blah blah
Where
blah.
this is controversy of who you're supporting.
Exactly. Like this is
Like you want to get this day one, but you don't want to give them that justification.
I know, and that's the thing, and they know it, and that's how they get away with it. Honestly,
It's how every company gets away with it. And
Yeah.
all the big companies have people like this in it.
Yeah.
And they know it doesn't matter. People want this product.
That's the thing with the inner circle within Ubisoft. The way they're so successful is just like, yeah, we're gonna treat women horribly, and yeah, we're gonna say that women don't sell, blah blah blah. And they actually said this was a quote from them saying like, we want a straight white male, like they wanted that.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was just wild. And it's just so weird to think about it that we've been supporting these people for so long.
Yeah.
And it's because, like, now that we know this, will I not buy Valhalla? And they know I will.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes into my next point, really.
Yeah.
Where why would boycotting and this has and I listed a couple other companies here, Gearbox especially, because we found out Randy Pitchford is just one of the worst human beings possible. Like he physically assaults his employees. He takes away bonuses from his employees. He has magic porn.
Stop picking up your mic.
It's a magic trick, he says. And then we have
Gay.
No, that's what he said. Like he had underage pornography on a thumb drive, and that he lost in a Renaissance fair. And he said, "No, it's a magic trick."
I remember that.
That was Randy Pitchford. That was Gearbox. Then we have Riot Studios, who also was accused of sexual misconduct.
Yeah.
And they had a walkout at Riot.
Yes.
I believe that was Riot. And then we have
think so.
Ubisoft now and Rockstar coming out as scumbags and the whole crunch hour thing. It's wild, and even Quantic Dream. But here's the real problem: is that why would boycotting these companies actually hurt artists? That's the real issue.
Because then you're not supporting the people who are victims.
Yeah.
They're not getting yes, when you don't buy the game.
Oh, I love. Oh man, that's deep. You're not supporting the victims.
Yeah.
Dang, deep like
I
the
try.
ocean.
No, but because these, like it said in the article, the people who talked to Jason Schreier was people who are still working there. They didn't give their names because they still are employed by them. Which means if you don't buy this game, you're not you're not paying these scumbags that run the company. They're not getting paid, but also the victims aren't getting paid, which means they're suffering for no reason. Because if no one buys the games, that means people start to get fired. And who are going to be the first to get fired?
Yeah.
The ones they don't like. The ones who don't come to those meetings.
Yeah, that's why when they went to boycott Red Dead Redemption 2, it's just like you said, okay, we could, but then they all suffered for absolutely nothing. They get no paychecks or anything. Like Gearbox.
Like they did all that pain and suffering for no reason.
Like what Gearbox did before Randy Pitchford came along. What he did is that he paid an average. I don't think it was underpaid, but he paid like less than between minimal and average pay. But what he did was he pulled all together all of the money that the game pulled in, and he divided it amongst the employees, and they made enough to buy houses outright.
Wow.
But then it later on said that, hey, those bonuses, hey, I'm Randy Pitchford, and said, no. So, but with Gearbox in the years before, if you didn't buy the game, they didn't buy their houses.
Yeah.
Now it doesn't matter. But that's the thing, is that it becomes this kind of weird perspective where, can you imagine how many people who worked on Assassin's Creed Valhalla were actually abused by this guy? And now they're going to, if we don't buy this game because of we're boycotting.
And yes, there's an inner circle, but like you said, this company is so huge.
Yeah.
How many, what's the ratio of these bad guys? Like, you're punishing this small group of bad people, in making not even just the victims, but people who just work there.
So when we talk about like separating the art from the artist, it gets really foggy when we talk about video games because we got to separate the inner circle of Ubisoft from the game, because there are people who actually worked for it, but then as soon as you buy it, then you're actually funding the inner circle, and then they won't even learn. But if you don't buy it, then these people will suffer for no reason and they might lose their jobs. And it's just like this weird tie where it's just like, I want to support these people who worked on the game, but I don't want to support this person.
I feel like almost the best way to, maybe not the best, but one of the ways to do it is buy it later.
Yeah.
Like, don't buy it right away. Wait a month or two.
But
so
then that goes into, how did it do? Like,
I know that. No, I know that. But I'm just saying they're not getting the immediate justification of like, yeah, everyone likes it and doesn't matter what we do. It's like, they had to wait. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's like putting them in timeout or something. I have no idea.
My God. So then we asked some of you on social media, by the way, follow us on social media so we can ask you questions so that you can be involved in these conversations. And we got 2 answers. I asked you on social media, can you separate the art from the artist? And one of the answers was by, I'm going to read Commander Nikki's first. At Commander Nikki says, some say you can separate art from the artist when they're dead. Oh, but how do you?
Because they can't do any more bad things.
Dang. But how do you do that with a company? That's what we're trying to say. For example, I will always love Harry Potter, but with the author recently turning out to be a transphobe. Yeah, did you see those tweets?
No.
Yeah, no, she's had some. So J.K. Rowling just went off fire.
She needs to figure out what. She needs to figure it out.
She needs to just quit.
She needs to sign off Twitter.
Yeah. I'm going to get into that in a little bit. But yeah, with J.K. Rowling turning out to be a transphobe, it's leaving a bitter taste in my mouth. I don't want to support her. With Ubisoft, it's a little different, I'd say, because even if some of the big people mess up and you don't want to support that, there's still smaller people like you and me, who'd massively hurt by dropping sales if we assume that they drop so bad if they get laid off. And I love Assassin's Creed. I do too, Commander Nikki. You're facing my same struggle. But yeah, no, J.K. Rowling at first. Here's the thing. I heard this from, again, Gus and Eddie. I know I say them all the time, but I don't know. I like them. I like their podcast. But they were saying that like they understand why people get kind of frustrated that they're only known from one thing. And so they kind of want to separate from that. But Eddie said like, or your choice can be just be silent and you'll be loved. That's it. All J.K. Rowling had to do is literally do nothing and she'll be loved for the rest of her life.
Yeah, she literally never had to say anything about anything and people would have just loved Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And that would have been the end of it.
Just go on Twitter and just literally have a video of you waving.
In the love.
Yeah, like, hi, I'm J.K. Rowling. We love your books. I know. But that's the thing. And then she had these tweets about really against transphobes.
Which is shocking.
Trans people. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is that she just went off the rails. I think she just got caught up.
Yeah.
I don't know what she was thinking. It was just dumb. But yeah, no, Commander Nikki, you're right in terms of saying that like you love Harry Potter, but the actual author has these views.
Yeah.
It was kind of wild. Yeah.
It is.
And she went off the rails in terms of like trying to be. You could tell she was trying to be way too inclusive. And that's what leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. When you are inclusive, naturally.
It's natural.
Yeah. But when she was just saying that, like, I never said Hermione was white, I'm like, you're trying way too hard. Like, she was trying.
But that was in defense of people being angry that an African-American woman was casted as Hermione on stage.
Oh, yeah.
That was in defense of their choice of
But that's what I mean. She was trying so hard. And it's just like, JK, if you failed, you failed. You can redeem yourself by this. Like, just saying
where
that, like,
she could have just said, I am perfectly happy with who they chose to play Hermione on stage.
It's whatever. JK canceled, whatever. But
don't say that.
I shouldn't. I take it back. But I don't. Then we also have from the Greatest Story Ever Played podcast. What up, man? He says that really is the question. I think I'd say it depends. Were they always bad or were they? Okay, were they always bad or did they become bad more recently? Does you enjoying their art still give them money? I don't think good art becomes bad because of the person, but I also don't want to give them money anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing, is that like I still enjoy Assassin's Creed. I still love Watch Dogs 2. Yes, I like Watch Dogs 2. Sue me. But it's better than the first one. Just give me a break here. But that's the thing, is that it really puts in this bad taste where it's just like, do I still want to keep funding Ubisoft for this? Do I still want to play Valhalla? Like, do I want to? Especially when 2 different scandals came out of that game. It's just
They're
weird.
racking them up there.
Now, here's the other thing, is that if I buy Valhalla, it won't go to that creative director because he's gone.
Yeah.
He gone.
Yeah, he's not going to get money because he's not on the project anymore.
Yeah, but I'm going to give it to Darby, and I'm going to give it to Jesper Kidd, which who I love.
But it's also going to go to the inner circle.
Jesper, can you be a good person, please? Just please?
Overall, it's going to pay for a lot of people in that company, including the inner circle.
Exactly.
Like, yes, you'll be funding. Like, yeah, the way I think of it is that when you're doing something, like when we think of movies, you're thinking of the actor and the director. You're thinking of the people who make the most from that.
Yeah.
From that chunk.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, if playing Valhalla, you're probably funding mostly the creative director and Jesper Kidd.
Yeah.
But you have to think that there's still that percentage going to the inner circle. But there's also that percentage going to the victims and the other normal, regular employees that aren't involved in anything.
It's such a weird dynamic when we talk about games or even movies, right? Like, because when we talk about paintings, right? And you buy a painting, it goes mostly to the artist, right? Now, this goes into my final points, really. And this is why I think indies are really on the rise.
Yeah.
Is because with all of these indies coming out, and there's always been indie games, but now they're really coming like out of the gates. And I think all of this makes it understandable because a lot of people from these indie studios came out of the games industry. I said on my video that's Night School Studios. They were 2 cousins that came out of Telltale Games, which was a very toxic community. And they said, listen, we want to separate ourselves and we're going to make Night School Studios and we can make a better game. And then you can see what we can do.
Yeah.
And they did amazing with Oxenfree. After Party was okay. But that's where you get to see that indies are trying to separate themselves from these toxic communities, from these toxic AAAs.
Yeah.
And making their own games and saying, like, this is what we can do.
Yeah.
And you can fund us.
Yeah.
Right? Especially when we talk about Stardew Valley, which was made by one person.
Yes.
Stardew Valley was made by one person. One.
I know.
Uno.
I know.
I forgot the German word for one. Shoot. Eins.
Yeah.
Yeah, eins. Eins persona. I don't know how to say person in German.
Remember.
But that's the thing, is that when you buy Stardew Valley, you're really just funding one person. Also Chucklefish, but that's something else. But that's the thing. I think it's easier to fund indie studios or to buy into indie studios because it is
you
a
know
more
exactly who the money's going to.
Right, yeah. Like, or even Coffee Talk I just finished. It's I believe there's not any more than 10 people on that team.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that you know where your money's really going to. You know the faces almost, right? And it is really cool to see that. And I believe EA Originals, almost like Unravel and Sea of Solitude, which you haven't played yet, get on that. Sea of Solitude, I believe all the money goes to that studio. I don't think EA really touched that. I think they get like a very small percentage of that money. But yeah, so I think that's why it's really more, what do I want to say? It's more reasonable, I guess, in your mind to fund an indie game.
Yes.
Am I wrong?
No, I think that definitely makes sense because, like you said, it's, you know who that money's going to, you know whose paychecks it's paying, whereas in a big company, you don't know who the heck you're paying. And yes, in indie, if you, like you said, if it could be a 10-person studio, you don't know their personal lives.
Yeah.
but you know they don't have these giant scandals because there's only 10 of them. If something was going on, they could address it.
Well,
they'd quit.
Well, that's the thing. That's what it came out of Infinite Falls with Night in the Woods. And again, I really want to bring that up because that became super, super dark, and I don't know how to feel about that situation. But that's the thing, is that you knew, and they did something about it, right? They pretty much cut it. I don't want to talk about it because it was just so rough, dude.
I thought of this example.
Yeah.
Imagine you donate money to some sort of nonprofit.
Right.
You can donate to this big nonprofit that everyone knows.
Like Tom's.
Yeah.
Nonprofit.
But that's what I mean. You don't know exactly. Like, you know what they say they're giving it to, but you don't know them. You know it's a huge company.
Yeah.
But you don't know everyone in it and their life. It's a big company, whether it's a nonprofit or not. It's a big company.
Yeah.
Or you can donate it to this small little nonprofit that started it out of the goodness of their heart, and it's like a couple people doing it. Because I have a friend that just started a nonprofit.
Oh, you do?
Yes, I'll tell you about it later.
Okay.
I'm more inclined.
And you know that person.
I do.
Yeah.
And I know their family.
Yeah.
So it's like I know that, and so it's in my mind it's easier to donate to them because I know them and I know where their heart is. I know why they started it, and I know that they're going to use that money appropriately. And
I work in a restaurant it's not a chain. Like it's one and only. So if I was working in like an Applebee's, like the CEO doesn't know me, but the CEO of this one does. He doesn't like me.
He does. You're like the only one he does like.
That's up for debate. But yeah, I think it's just camera one went off. That's okay.
This camera's killing me today.
Yeah, but we're wrapping up pretty soon anyway. You're just gonna turn on camera one. You're already up.
I'm up.
You're up. But yeah, that's the thing. That's why I like indie studios a lot, and that's why. Oh, guy, camera two. You're good. But that's why I'm still excited to play Halo Infinite. It is a big game. It is developed by people that I may not agree with in terms of the art style, but that's the thing, is that I like Halo and they know that I'm going to buy it. But in terms of an indie studio, I love playing different indie games. And I think I still want to get somebody. I'm not going to say it on camera. But that's why Game Pass really makes indies shine, because you can just play all these indie games and support them in that way. But yeah, I think that we need to be focusing a lot on indies, like putting our time invested into indie studios so that they can thrive. They can make companies that have more honest inner circles. Yeah. And we get to reset the games industry almost. So,
yeah, eventually.
Any other closing thoughts?
No, I think we expressed our opinions, and there's not a lot to say. It's like, you know what I mean? It's just, this is where we are, and this is where we want to be, and we still have no idea if we're buying Valhalla.
Yeah, I know. I am, though. But I am buying Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2.
I know.
Day one.
I know.
And it's going to take up all of my time.
I know.
Anyways, I'm going to be funding Tony Hawk is what I'm saying. Tony Hawk's pockets just got a little bit deeper. But yeah, so I think that wraps up our discussion.
I think so.
So we do have a guest for next week, and I'm not going to say who it is because you don't like it when I say who it is. But
it's not that I don't like it when you say who it is.
Yeah.
It's the fact that you say, I'm not going to say it. I'm going, and then you say, I'm going to say it. Like, you tell your own secret.
But it is a personal hero of mine, so I'm very excited for this person to come on. So I'm very excited. You know, just as a personal standpoint, because this person got me podcasting in the first place. So yeah, I'm very excited.
Oh, now I know.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't want to say who it is because, you know, this person might bail on me.
Oh my goodness, you're being such a drama queen. Just close the show.
We thank you for listening to this week's podcast. Be sure to follow us on social media so that when we do ask you these questions of the topic coming up, that you can be part of the conversation. So you can follow us on social media at Gaming Groceries on Twitter, Games Groceries, all one word, on Instagram and on Facebook. And Yeah. And finally, if you want to listen to more content from us, every Tuesday we put out an episode on What's the Biz. It's just a very chill, just us talking.
Yep.
I don't really like to, have an Instagram or Twitter for it. It's just kind of like, it's there. You want to listen to it? Cool. It's there for you if you want it.
Yeah.
Anything else I'm missing?
Personal Twitters? Did we do that at the end?
I'm at Ace the Grocer.
I'm at Journey First.
Cool. We thank you for listening to this week's podcast. We hope you had a fun one today and hope to see you in the next episode. Stay safe, wear your mask, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.